Have you ever wondered why the pain you endured wasn't just suffering, but a revelation? At first, when a narcissist uses and abuses you, it doesn't feel like God is working. It feels like betrayal, like devastation, like the ground beneath you is crumbling. But hear me, what's happening isn't destruction. It's deliverance, because God never allows deception to hold you forever. The greatest weapon of a narcissist is illusion. They twist reality, manipulate your emotions, and distort the truth to keep you bound. And for a time, you believe it. You justify the lies. You excuse the manipulation. You stay, hoping, waiting, praying they will change. But then God steps in. Suddenly, the veil lifts. The confusion clears. The truth, no matter how painful, becomes undeniable. And that truth, it's not there to break you. It's there to set you free. So don't mistake your heartbreak for abandonment. It's an intervention. God is pulling you out of the darkness, exposing what was hidden, and giving you the strength to walk away. Now the question is, will you trust him enough to go where he's leading? The truth doesn't whisper, it commands attention. At first, it may feel like a faint discomfort, an uneasiness you can't quite explain. But then patterns emerge. The inconsistencies in their words, the contradictions in their actions, they don't add up. And suddenly, the illusion begins to crack. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is divine revelation. God is showing you what has been hidden in plain sight. And hear this. When God reveals, he does so with purpose. Throughout Scripture, he has always exposed deception. From a serpent in the garden to the Pharisees who mask corruption with self-righteousness, truth has always shattered the lies. John 8 verse 32 declares, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." That is not just a promise, it is a call to action. Truth is the doorway to freedom, but before you can walk through it, you must be willing to face it. And facing it will hurt, because when a mask comes off, you don't just lose a person, you lose the illusion of who you thought they were. The love you believed in? Conditional. The support you relied on? Manipulative. The connection you cherished? A mirage. The grief is real. But do not let grief chain you to deception. Do not let the pain of loss drive you into denial. God is revealing this truth because he loves you too much to let you live in a lie. And now, you stand at a crossroads. The truth is in front of you. What will you do with it? This is where so many falter, because truth is disruptive. It shakes the foundations of comfort. It challenges your plans, your desires, your sense of security. And a narcissist? They count on your hesitation. They count on you being too afraid to see reality, because the moment you do, their power is gone. This is why so many stay in toxic cycles, because knowing the truth and acting on it are two different things. And this is where faith must rise. Faith is not just believing in God. It is trusting him enough to obey. If God is revealing something to you, it is because he is calling you to something greater. But obedience requires courage. Walking away requires strength. It means trusting that God will provide, that he will heal, that he will redeem the time you thought was wasted. And maybe you're thinking, but I can change them. No, you cannot. Only God can change a heart. And even then, they must be willing. A narcissist thrives on control. True transformation requires surrender. And surrender is the one thing they will not give. So stop waiting for them to change. Stop sacrificing yourself on the altar of their dysfunction. God is not asking you to fix them. He is calling you to obey him. Think about it. Why would God reveal the truth if he intended for you to stay in deception? Why would he open your eyes only for you to shut them again? He wouldn't. He is calling you out of confusion, out of manipulation, out of bondage. And yes, freedom comes at a cost. It costs comfort. It costs familiarity. It costs the pain of detaching, the fear of stepping into the unknown. But hear this, whatever you lose, God will restore. Whatever is broken, he will rebuild. Whatever was stolen, he will redeem. But you must take the first step. So today, I challenge you, no, I command you to choose truth. Choose freedom. Choose God's plan over the lies that have kept you bound. Because the moment you do, heaven moves on your behalf. The chains fall. The doors open. The path to healing begins. Now is the time. No more excuses. No more delays. Walk in the truth God has given you. And never look back. Some people might ask, why would God allow me to go through this in the first place? Why didn't he stop it? And that's an honest question. But think about this. Some of the strongest people you know, the wisest, the most unshakable, how did they get that way? Through suffering, through trials, through experiences that could have destroyed them, but instead refined them. God is not in the business of keeping you comfortable. He is in the business of making you strong. And the way he does that is through fire. Not to consume you, but to purify you. To burn away false beliefs. To strip away dependencies on the wrong people. To forge you into something greater than you were before. The pain you feel, that's the old version of you being stripped away. The version that tolerated disrespect. The version that made excuses for mistreatment. The version that thought love was about enduring suffering rather than recognizing your worth. That version had to go. When you go through the storm of being used and abused by a narcissist, it doesn't just leave you wounded. It leaves you questioning everything. You wonder if you're strong enough to move forward, if you'll ever heal, if you'll ever trust again. And in those moments, when you feel weak, when you feel like you've lost yourself, that's precisely when God begins his greatest work. Because while the narcissist tried to break you, God is using this experience to strengthen you. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in stages, in moments of quiet realization, and in battles you fight alone. So if God is opening your eyes, don't look away. If he is showing you the truth, don't resist it. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than a beautiful lie. And when you finally embrace it, when you finally step into that clarity, you will realize something powerful. This wasn't just about the narcissist. This was about you, about your strength, your worth, your ability to stand in truth, even when it costs you everything. But temporary discomfort is a small price to pay for lasting peace. Look at how adversity works in nature. A tree that stands against the wind grows deeper roots. A muscle that is torn in training comes back stronger. Strength is not given. It is developed. And the same is true for your spirit. Every insult, every manipulation, every time you're made to feel small, God saw it. And he didn't just watch. He allowed it to shape you, to harden your resolve, to push you toward the version of yourself that can no longer be deceived, controlled, or broken. At first, all you feel is the weight of it, the betrayal, the exhaustion, the sheer emotional drain. Narcissists have a way of making you doubt your own reality, your own instincts. They wear down your confidence little by little until you don't recognize yourself anymore. But here's the thing about God. He doesn't just restore what was taken. He rebuilds you into something stronger than before. There comes a point in every toxic relationship when things begin to fall apart. The tension rises, the manipulation no longer works the way it used to, and cracks begin to show. At first, it may feel like a personal failure, like something you should have been able to prevent. You wonder if you could have done something differently, said something better, been more patient. But in reality, what's happening is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. Because when God removes a narcissist from your life, it is not punishment. It is deliverance. Separation is one of the hardest things for the human heart to endure. We are designed for connection, for relationship, for love. So when a relationship comes to an end, even one built on deception and control, it leaves a void. The absence of the person who once consumed so much of your time and energy feels unnatural. And the narcissist? They know this. They rely on it. They play on your emotions, keeping you hooked just enough so that you hesitate to let go. They make you believe that leaving means you fail, that if you walk away, you're giving up on something worth saving. God is not just rescuing you from a narcissist. He's preparing you for what comes next. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live in bondage. Not to a person, not to fear, not to self-doubt. And sometimes, it takes the hardest trials to wake you up to that reality. If you never felt the weight of manipulation, you might not have learned to discern truth. If you were never betrayed, you might not have learned the importance of guarding your heart. If you were never broken, you might not have discovered your own strength. This is why Scripture constantly reminds us that trials are not just obstacles. They are opportunities. James 1 verse 2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Did you catch that? Not lacking anything. That means every hardship, every struggle, every tear shed over someone who never truly valued you. It's all part of the process. A process designed to make you whole, to make you complete, to ensure that nothing and no one can shake you again. But here's where the real challenge comes in. Strength is not just about surviving. It's about transforming. It's about taking what was meant to harm you and using it as fuel to become unstoppable. And that requires a decision. You can let this experience make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. You can see yourself as a victim, or you can see yourself as someone who overcame. The choice is yours. And let me tell you something. When you choose strength, when you choose growth, when you choose to stand tall despite everything that tried to break you, you become a person the narcissist can no longer control. You become someone who cannot be manipulated, cannot be fooled, cannot be played with. Because the truth is, once you know your worth, once you see what you were meant to be, you will never allow yourself to be mistreated again. So don't despise this process. Don't resent the hardship. God is using it to build something in you that no one can take away. And when it's all said and done, when you look back on this moment, you'll realize something profound. The narcissist thought they were destroying you, but all they did was make you unbreakable. Understand this. There are moments in life when stepping away does not signify surrender. It marks a divine release. What if, instead of retreating, you're simply being freed from something that was never meant for you? What if the separation is God's way of protecting you, of guiding you out of a destructive situation, to lead you into His greater plan for your life? Look to the Bible, where a powerful story speaks to this very truth. It is the story of Lot and his wife, a story often overshadowed by other biblical events, yet one that contains profound wisdom for us today. God gave Lot a clear command to leave the city of Sodom. The city was filled with corruption, a place steeped in sin so deep that it was beyond redemption. God saw the destruction coming and told Lot to flee. But when he did, his wife turned back. She couldn't fully let go of the past, and for her disobedience, she became a pillar of salt. Lot was saved, but his wife, her hesitation cost her freedom. This is the essence of divine intervention. God provides a way out. He opens doors of freedom, but He will not drag us through them. If we refuse to walk away, if we cling to what is toxic, we are choosing bondage over deliverance. God can open the door, but He will not force us to leave. And when we chase after the very things He's trying to remove from our lives, we are refusing His plan for our salvation and growth. There are moments when the narcissist leaves first, abandoning us when they sense we no longer serve their purpose. When this happens, it may feel like rejection, but I urge you to change your perspective. What if their departure isn't rejection at all? What if God, in His infinite wisdom, has removed them because He knew you wouldn't do it yourself? What if their absence is not a loss, but a divine blessing in disguise? Divine intervention is not always gentle. It can be forceful. Sometimes the doors slam shut, and what feels like a tragedy is, in fact, God's protective hand. It may hurt in the moment, but know this: the pain of separation is fleeting, while the pain of staying in a toxic situation is lasting. The discomfort of leaving behind what has hurt you pales in comparison to the eternal harm of remaining in the same destructive place. God does not arbitrarily remove people from our lives. He does it for our protection. He does it to realign us with His purpose, to set us free for something greater. Yet, so many of us resist His intervention. We pray for blessings while clinging to relationships that hold us in chains. We ask for peace, but remain in the chaos. We seek strength, but but return to the very things that weaken us. At some point, you must come to realize that if God is removing someone from your life, there's a divine reason. No amount of pleading, no amount of what if thinking, and no amount of nostalgia can change what God has already decided. The person they are now was never meant to be part of your future. And this, my friend, is where faith takes root. Faith is trusting in God's plan even when it's unclear. It's walking away from what's comfortable, trusting that God will lead you to something better. Faith is knowing that a closed door is not the end of your story, but the beginning of a new chapter. You must understand that when you let go of what God has told you to release, you make space for His blessings. You cannot receive what God has for you while holding on to what He has already told you to let go of. You cannot experience healing while clinging to what has broken you. You cannot grow while remaining in the same toxic environment. You may not see it now, but there will come a time when you look back and realize that losing them was not a loss at all. It was a gain of clarity, a gain of strength, a gain of freedom, and, most importantly, a gain of the life you were always meant to live, unshackled from the weight of someone who was never meant to walk with you into your future. So, do not resist what God is doing in your life. Do not fight the separation that is leading you to restoration. Trust in God's timing. Trust in His plan. When God removes the narcissist, the toxic person, or the destructive force from your life, He is not just taking something away. He is making room for something far greater. And that, my friend, is a gift you must embrace with open arms. Step forward. Trust. Let go. And watch God move in ways you've never imagined. You are worthy. You were born with immense value, a divine purpose that cannot be defined by another's perception or actions. No one has the power to strip you of your worth. And yet, when you find yourself entangled in the grasp of a narcissist, you may feel as though they have taken everything from you. In truth, what they've stolen from you is not just your peace, but your sense of self. They manipulate your mind, twist your emotions, and cloud your soul with their lies. They convince you that your instincts are wrong, that your needs don't matter, and that love is a test of endurance, not mutual respect. Over time, you begin to doubt your very essence. You lose sight of the person you once were, and in your desperation to make things work, you start to shrink yourself to fit their mold. You no longer recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. But I need you to hear this truth today. God never intended for you to live in this way. He did not create you to be someone else's emotional servant, to diminish yourself so another person can feel powerful. That was never the design. You were made to stand strong, to live with dignity, and to walk in the fullness of your purpose. And in those moments when you feel abandoned, discarded, or broken by a toxic relationship, it is God Himself who steps in to show you the way to healing. It is not through your strength alone, but through His mighty hand that you are restored. And He begins the process by teaching you one of the most crucial lessons you will ever learn: your worth. I know it doesn't feel like a lesson at first. It feels like devastation. When a narcissist finally discards you, or when you muster the strength to walk away, what remains in the aftermath is a deep emptiness. You feel hollow, as if a part of you is gone forever. But what is missing is not a piece of you. It is the presence of their toxic influence that once lived inside your mind. For so long, you defined yourself by their approval, by their perspective, by their ever-changing whims. But now, with them gone, there is room to breathe, to reclaim your true self. And what will fill that space is not emptiness, but the truth of who you are and what you are truly worthy of. But here's the reality. Knowing your worth is not merely about feeling good about yourself.